What's good, guys? Fantasy Joe back here with my buy low, sell highs. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Post a ton of high quality content throughout the season. We did fantasy lessons from week one on Monday. We did waivers on Tuesday. This morning, my rankings came out, and tonight we are doing buy low, sell highs. All the information you need to beat your friends and family in fantasy football and bring that championship home is right here. So if you want to win that championship, hit that subscribe button. It's that simple will give you that edge that you need to beat over the rest of your league mates, bring home that title. Likes help the channel a lot, as do comments. I respond to all comments, but let's dive into our first buy low. First guy is Mark Andrews. Reason being, the targets weren't what you wanted in week one, only 2 targets. People are freaking out over his usage and the emergence of Isaiah Likely. I am not worried about Mark Andrews. Kansas City intentionally game plan to take him out of the game. He is still the top receiving option of that team. I expect him to have a major bounce back in the coming weeks. He's been fantastic on a per game basis whenever he's been out there, whenever he's been healthy. Health is my only real concern just because we've seen him get injured a few times, but I think you can go out there and acquire Mark Andrews for very little right now, and I would absolutely be doing that. There's going to be people who are getting Mark Andrews for Kyle Pitts and maybe even that straight up, honestly. But I would be willing to give Kyle Pitts and a piece to go get Mark Andrews in a heartbeat. I think there's going to be a lot of teams that are able to do that this week. Moving on to our buy two, number 2. This one's another big name, Marvin Harrison Jr. Now let's take a look at what happened to him this last week. Only 3 targets, 1 reception for 4 yards. Obviously not what you're hoping for. The reason that I have him as a buy low, I really think it was more of a mirage than anything. Maybe, he's not going to get off to the fastest start, but Marvin Harrison Jr. season long is still an absolute smash for me. I think he's going to be really good. I think he's still going to be worthy of a second round, maybe beginning of the third round pick. But he was number 4th overall draft pick in the draft. He's extremely talented with a good quarterback on an offense that doesn't have much target competition around him outside of Trey McBride. We saw Greg Dortch finish with 12 targets this last week. I think some of those go Marvin Harrison Jr.'s way, and I think he is a great buy right now. Another guy you can go out there, you can offer a pretty low deal right now. I think there's going to be some very scared managers out there, and you can buy this guy for pennies on the dollar potentially, or 50 cents on the dollar. I just think there's a lot of opportunity around both Mark Andrews and Marvin Harrison Jr. right now because fantasy managers are scared, and the reaction that they take after week one is whatever they see on the field is what they think is going to be it moving forward. So take advantage of those scared owners. There's a lot of advantage after week one to making some trade offers on some of these guys. Next up, we're actually going to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Another guy, I think that it'll be a lot harder to draft Amon-Ra because of how good his track record has been. 6 targets, only 3 for 13. Don't worry about Amon-Ra St. Brown moving forward. He's going to be that guy getting just about double-digit targets each and every week. He's going to catch 100-plus passes this year. He's going to have 1,300-plus yards, be close to double-digit touchdowns, maybe get 8 on a something like that. But Amon-Ra St. Brown's a locked and loaded stud. He's a first-round pick for a reason. I think there's people out there that right now could, there's so many trades that can be made for a lot of these players that you can jump over right now that can give you that leg up. I think there's leagues out there where you could take a Nico Collins and a piece and turn them into Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'd do that in a heartbeat. I'm into Nico season long, but I just think that's a different tier of wide receiver than Amon-Ra St. Brown with how consistent he is and things of that nature. Moving on, our next guy. This one's a little bit more of a reach. These first guys are all absolute studs. I would say a reach, but just there's a little bit more reason to the reason this guy is being a buy low. So he had 8 targets, he had 9 targets in week 1, only turned 9 for 2 for 16. Dropped a touchdown, though. Deshaun Watson looked rough. All of those are reasons why you can buy Amari Cooper right now. He's going to be the number 1 wide receiver on this team. His numbers, he averaged close to 90 yards a game last year, or actually over 90 yards a game with Deshaun Watson last year in 6 games. I expect Deshaun Watson to be bad, but I still expect Amari Cooper to be good for fantasy football, and I think they can do both. This is a guy you could go out there, you could trade a lot of pieces to acquire. Another guy, he's drafted in the 5th, 6th round. I think people are very worried right now. Go out there, throw them, a 7th round pick that you had that played well at wide receiver or something like that. I bet there's people that can turn Jameson Williams right now into Amari Cooper, and I'd be willing to do that if you need immediate wide receiver help. Moving on to our next buy low. This one might be a bit of a surprise. Kyren Williams. Now, he didn't have a bad week in week 1. He just wasn't fantastic. But the reason I have him on this list, he played 91% of snaps last week. That's the number that you wanted to see. You thought, Blake Corum's here. He didn't even play a snap. And that number is going to go up. But the fact that we're starting at 91, if it comes down to 70, that's okay. That's fine. But he's still the workhorse in this offense. They're banged up right now. They're missing some pieces. But I expect Kyren to be very, very good moving forward and to be a top 5 running back if this utilization continues and if this offense can get right. I think you can go out there right now, and a lot of people are scared off of Kyren. There's quite a few pieces I think that you could trade and be able to get your hands on a Kyren. Like, I think you would take Josh Jacobs in a piece and be able to get Kyren. I would do that in a heartbeat if I could. Okay, moving on to our sell highs. First up on this list is Stefon Diggs. I think Diggs is going to have his weeks for sure, but I always think there's going to be one guy left out of that Texans rotation. I think more often than not it will be Diggs. He's also a hot starter, so I expect him to go down as the season progresses, and he's a little bit older. But cashed in 2 touchdowns on 6 targets, caught them all, only 33 yards, but like I said, the touchdowns was a difference. But if he didn't catch those, you wouldn't be very happy with him. I'm willing to sell him for sure off the touchdown performance. If I could turn, you could probably take Stefon Diggs right now and get Amari Cooper and a running back 2 or something like that. I think that's realistic if you're making the right trade, but I think that's something that you could do. Or take a Stefon Diggs and trade him for a George Pickens or something like that. Maybe even Devonta Smith. I think that would be a great trade, a great target if you could get into that. Or like I said, obviously, if you can turn Stefon Diggs in a piece into Marvin Harrison, that'd be a great move. Next up, I've got Aaron Jones. This one being he's coming off an awesome game. He's got a really tough matchup this next week against San Francisco, 14 for 94 and 1. I think there's going to be plenty of games where Aaron Jones is just game scripted out in the second half because of how bad they could potentially be on offense. It was a good week this week in a bad matchup. They were playing the Giants. I don't think it's going to be the Giants every week, and that's why I would sell high on Aaron Jones. Another guy you could probably flip into one of these tier above pieces. Now, next up, I've got Isaiah Likely. I'm trading him because I do think he's the number 2 or the number 3 option in this passing game, which is still an extremely valuable role. I don't mind hanging on to Likely, but if you can go out there and trade Likely for the moon for people that think he is in tight end 1 now and Mark Andrews isn't, I think that is a really good trade to make. If you can trade if you can trade Isaiah Likely and potentially get into a Trey McBride or trade him to Mark Andrews owner for Mark Andrews and maybe you give him Likely in a piece, I would be all over that. I think those are excellent deals. One more sell player that I have for you is Michael Pittman Jr. Now, he's not really a sell high, but he is a sell to me. Reason being, we saw Anthony Richardson, only complete 9 passes. He led the team in targets, but I just think the quality of targets that he got from Gardner Minshew and the quantity are not going to be there anymore, and that will hurt Michael Pittman dramatically. He's never been a big touchdown guy. I still think he's a great receiver. I still think he's going to get volume. I worry about the quality of that volume moving forward, and that's why I'd be willing to make a move. If you could turn Michael Pittman into maybe a DK Metcalf off that tough week or something like that, I think that'd be an excellent move. And then I'll throw out one more. This is a buy low / buy. He's not really a buy low, but Rashee Rice, he looks to be extremely involved in this offense moving forward. That suspension's not coming at the moment. 9 targets, 7 receptions, 103 yards in his debut this season. I expect him to be really good moving forward, to be the wide receiver 1 on this offense, and I think you can still go out there and potentially buy him for lower than his season-long value is going to be. Another guy I would take if I could trade Devontae Adams and get Rashee Rice and an top 15 RB, I would do that in a heartbeat and jump all over that. Or if I could trade maybe a Jayden Reed and turn that into a Rashee Rice off that giant week. I don't hate Reed, but I think it could be tough for him the next week or two if Jordan Love doesn't play. And you can get this guy immediately that's going to be a much more consistent player. Might not have the ceiling of Jayden Reed, but I think he's going to be more consistent and score more fantasy points over the course of the season. Alrighty, if you guys have made it to this point in the video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you have any trade questions, drop them in the comment section down below. I'll let you know if I would do that trade. I can help out your individual rosters and do whatever you guys need. More than happy to help, but hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and leave those comments for me. It really helps me out. And this has been Fantasy Joe. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you.